Hi there, Year 11. Welcome to another video in General Maths. The goals of this lesson are to solve linear equations with one unknown and to use the solve feature on CAS to solve your equation for you. The work you need to complete in this lesson is copy down some notes in your own words into summary book and then Oxford exercise 1C. Those questions just there. There's a fair few of them. Excuse my really loud computer in the background. Okay, so solving linear equations. We've looked at linear equations, now we need to solve them. So the difference between, I guess, solving a linear equation and then substitution is, with substitution, you'd be given a value for C here, and you substitute that in, and then you solve for F. Solving linear equations is basically the other way around. You're given a value for F, and you have to work out what C is, okay? It's important to know the difference between linear equations and non-linear equations. Okay, so linear equations, the way I think about it is linear equations always have x to the power of 1. Okay, or they might sometimes have two variables, but they're both to the power of 1. You're never going to have a variable to the power of 2. So if I look over here at 3x squared, you can see that's the power of 2. That's a non-linear equation. And the reason why it's important to point this difference out is because linear equations have one answer for that variable. So there's only going to be one answer for x, or there's going to be one answer for x and one answer for y. Non-linear equations could have two answers for x, so two values that x could take that make that true. Okay. So if I take this equation here, 3x plus 4 is equal to 16, it's one thing to point out is that, the most important part of an equation is this sign here. Okay, that basically means that the left-hand side, so what's on this side, is equal to the right-hand side. What is on this side? Okay, that's what this sign means. That equals means equate, that both sides are equal. And so the way we would solve this is we need to work out the value of x when it's times by 3 and added to 4 equals to 16. So the way we can do that is if we recognize the operations that have happened on x on the left-hand side, we can say x is multiplied by 3 and added to by 4. We can do the opposite of that on the left-hand side and the opposite on the right-hand side. And find out what x is equal to. We need to do the opposite on the left-hand side and the right-hand side so we can still keep using this equal sign. So if we're going to do that, we need to know basically the inverse or the opposites to each of these operations. And so you would have done this before. The opposite of addition is subtraction, the opposite of subtraction is addition, and so on. Okay. So the opposite of squared, if something is squared, the opposite will be a square root. And the opposite of square root would be a squared. So if I have the number 2 and I square 2, that's going to be equal to 4. But if I square root 4, I'm going to get 2. I'm going to go back to the square root cancels out the square. It eliminates it. Okay, so let's look at solving some equations. So this one here, I've got 2x is equal to 9. Okay. All I do is recognize what's happened to x on the left-hand side. I can see that's times by 2, so I'm going to do the opposite of that, divide by 2 to both sides. Okay. If you multiply something by 2 and then divide by 2, it effectively cancels the 2 out, and you're left with 1x. 1x is equal to 4.5. We don't have to write 1x, we can just write x, so x is equal to 4.5. And if you needed to check that answer, all you do is substitute it. You change the x into 4.5 and see if the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. So 2 times 4.5 is 9. 9 is equal to 9. That's true. That's a true equation. Okay, down here, the equation we had before, what's happened to x? Okay, I can say plus 4. So I'm going to do the opposite of that to both sides, minus 4 to both sides. Plus 4 and minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, so I've got 3x plus 0 is equal to 12. Okay, 3x plus 0 is just 3x. So I don't need to worry about the 0 anymore. Times by 3x there, so the opposite of that is divide by 3. That cancels out and leaves me with x is equal to 4. And you can substitute that in there. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So that's correct. Okay. X plus 2 divided by 5 is equal to 10. Okay. So I've got plus 2 and divide by 5. But what's significant here is I've got everything up the top divided by 5. So that means I know that I have to times by 5 to both sides first. Okay. Times by 5 and divide by 5, that just cancels out and leaves me with x plus 2 is equal to 50. Okay, the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. X plus 2 minus 2, that cancels out, you get x is equal to 48. Okay, one more. So now I can see here I've got x's on both sides. That should be a italicized x there. So I've got 2x is equal to 5x minus 9. So a lot of people get to this sort of question, they go, what do I do? How do I get rid of the x? And they go, oh, divide by 5, and that's not the right way of going about it. Okay, if you do that, you're going to get the wrong answer. I'm just going to rewrite that equation again. 2x is equal to 5x minus 9. If you ever see variables on both sides, you need to take away the variable from one side. Okay, so I'll show what I mean by that. If I take away 5x to this side here and 5x to this side, I'm still balanced. I can still use my equal sign. 5x here plus 5x minus 5x, that gives me 0x. So I've got rid of x's on one side. And over here I've got minus 3x. Because 2x minus 5x is minus 3x. Minus 3x is equal to negative 9. Okay, how do I get rid of the minus 3? I divide by negative 3. Negative 3x divided by negative 3 will give me just x, and that's equal to positive 3. Why is it positive 3? Because negative divided by negative is a positive. And you could test that. You could put in positive 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6, try and get my handwriting a bit more legible. 5 times positive 3 is 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. So 6 is equal to 6. That's the correct answer. Okay. Okay. So with these questions, it's really just trial and error. You need to practice to get them right. But if you want to double check, you don't have to substitute. You can use your calculator. So if I use my CAS here, like this, I can just go to the scratch pad, calculate, and I can use that equation I had before. Okay, so let's say I'm after the answer to this equation here. 3x plus 4 is equal to 16. Well, let's do this one here. 2x is equal to 5x minus 9. Go back to the CAS feature. If I want my CAS to solve that, I need to go menu, algebra, because we're doing some algebra, and I have to use the solve function. Okay, so we'll give you solve and some brackets. You then enter your equation. Okay, so 2x is equals to 5x minus 9. Okay, the important bit then to do is to put this little comma. That's saying solve for, and then you're going to tell it what variable you want to solve for. Solve for x. If you press equals, it will give you x is equal to 3. Okay, positive 3, the same answer we had before. That's another way of checking your equations. Okay, hopefully that's clear to you. If it's not, please email your teacher and we'll be able to clear up any questions or use us on Zoom. Otherwise, good luck in completing exercise 3C.